what may be some common misconceptions that people have about real world violence. And I know we get a lot of that from television and stuff, and assume that like when someone's shot with a handgun round, they're going to fly back and go through the wall and things like that. But what's been kind of an eye-opening thing for you as you're teaching this stuff and on the forefront of teaching people about real world violence? What do you think are some common misconceptions that the average person may have?
Yeah, I like to joke that most people get their gunfighting knowledge from John Wick. And, of course, the guns in John Wick, very real and very accurate. The gunfighting, no, very Hollywood and not very accurate. So, built for stylization. Now, there are a couple, you go watch Heat and they actually use really good technique and really good tactics because they were taught by an actual tactician how to do them. But there are several. Everybody has this idea in their head how their gunfight's going to go. And I do default and go back. I think that Tom Givens of Rangemaster is, he's kind of one of the kind of Mount Rushmore of firearms trainers in America over the last maybe 30 years. And Tom says, the bad guy gets to set the time and place of the attack, and he's only going to tell you about it at the last minute. And so, okay, cool. Like that's really a good reminder that remember, I think that people think, oh, okay, I'm going to have time to do all this stuff. Whereas the capital that you have, the most important commodity in a gunfight is time. And as the defender, you do not have time. You are at a time deficit the whole time. And so that's, this thing, a lot of people lose fights because they don't really realize they're in one until it's half over. And so they think, the bad guy they're going to get is going to be in a big black hat with a big mustache and is going to announce themselves far enough in advance that they're going to be able to get to their gun and do what they need to do. And they're going to come away with a flawless victory. One of the things we talk about all the time is, for instance, we've objectified and said, okay, so if you have to get your gun out from concealment in a real private citizen gunfight, how long does that take you? Well, most people don't know because they've never been to the range with a timer and with an accuracy standard. So they have no idea. Now they might think, I've been to the range where somebody's got, yeah, John, I've got a 2-second draw to first shot. Cool, man. Let's see it. Shooter ready, stand by. And next thing we know, it's 4.7. And so, the FBI has had a standard for its agents for decades of, taking a gun from a holster concealed under a concealment garment and getting an A-zone hit at 7 yards in 1.5 seconds. That's been the FBI standard for forever. And, funny part is that I don't know if they came across that by accident, but what we found is that is an excellent professional standard. And if you meet that standard, it's not that hard to meet in reality. I mean, a little bit of training and you can get there. But that's a great standard. We have also found if people are slower than 2 seconds, that it really leads to negative outcomes at very high rates.
I think that John came from Dennis Tooler and a drill that came to be known as the Tooler drill after him. But that became sort of bastardized into the 21-foot rule. And I remember I wanted to show a video to our cops back in the day. It was a VHS video. This tells you how old this is or how long ago this was. And my supervisor would not allow me to show the video, Surviving Edge Weapons, because he didn't want our cops to, like, anytime there's someone at a restaurant or whatever and they pick up a knife and they're within 21 feet, that they're going to, it's like,
yeah, draw a gun on it.
Yeah, our cops are smart enough. You got to give them a little bit more credit than that. But, but that is a great standard. And you're hitting on another thing, John, like the guy who told you he has that 1 second draw, that 1.5 second draw and A-zone hit at 7 yards or whatever. He may have that, but he may have that on the 5th attempt. You know what I mean? You are as good as what you can do on your first attempt. And it's not going to be under ideal conditions on a static range. It's going to be, you're going to be fumbling with stuff. You're going to be surprised. And you have to take that into account. It's not what you are on your best day. It's what you are on your worst day. So I think that that's critical information.
Yeah. And one of the things that we work on when we teach live fire classes at ASP, mostly now, by our chief marketing officer, Neil Widener and Christopher Bean and, from Tactical Advantage. And, we teach, listen, if you can get so fast on the range, then in the real world, you can work at an a 90% of that speed, which is inside kind of your easy performance barrier. And so you're not trying to operate at the ragged edges of your capability. So, I always tell folks like, look, if you have 1 second on your best day and your standard though, your go signal, is you can make in 1.5. Well, then when you're on your worst day, a 1.25, you're still well inside. So you don't have to hurry. It doesn't feel hurried to you. You can feel confident because you're competent.
Yeah.
So, there's things like that. By the way, Dennis Tueller, his takeaway from his research was not get your gun out in 1.5 seconds. It was move your feet. It was get yourself some space. When that guy starts charging, you got to move or you're going to get stabbed. And that is quite good. And when we see whether it's a cop or a private citizen, when that guy charges and you start moving, well, then you get more time and that buys you options.